Hey friends, this is Jayendra Khatod and I'm here to chart the best fit on Azure. In this video series, we pick up different Azure services and try to deep dive into their pricing and sizing aspects so that you can learn to create the most optimized consumption plan for your customers. For today's session, our guest speaker is Anupreet Kaur. Hey Anupreet, welcome and hope you are doing great. Why don't you tell our viewers what do you do here at Microsoft India and which service are you picking up today?
Hey Jaindra, thank you for having me here. Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Chart the Best Fit on Azure. Today we'll be focusing on two services that are offered by Azure and Microsoft as part of the Vision Cognitive services, these being Azure Computer Vision and Azure Custom Vision. Now, prior to jumping into how you can best size and best chart this on Azure, let's quickly understand, what exactly do we mean when we talk about these two services. So to begin with Azure Computer Vision, this helps you analyze any and every image that you have. And this analysis could be majorly across three different buckets. Starting off with the first one, image analysis. This helps you, first and foremost, extract insights and information out of your image. This could be in terms of any objects that the image has, whether or not it has, people faces, a description for the image, a description the way you and I as humans would describe any image, get tags for the image, the way we have hashtags on any online website where we upload our images, and also whether or not there are any celebrities or landmarks present in that image. The other feature we talk about, thumbnail. The thumbnail feature will help you extract a small pixel sized image out of a larger picture that you have. You can clarify, what size, what length, and what width you want. And basis that, this will provide you with the right thumbnail for your use case. Area of interest. Within this, the computer vision service using artificial intelligence in the background will analyze the complete image and itself figure out, what is the most important area out of this picture and give you the coordinates of that, which you can, leverage and extract that piece of picture from the larger picture that you have. OCR. A lot of times it happens that, we have text written on images, and these images might be, a picture that you have clicked on of a road sign or a form that you have, a receipt that you have that you've clicked a picture on, or it could even be, some printed text that you have in place. OCR or optical character recognition helps you extract all of this information, and this could be like we discussed, either printed or handwritten and across multiple languages. The spatial feature, this allows you mainly for a real-time scenario or a batch kind of a scenario to extract insights out of the videos that we shoot, whether there is a restricted area and someone is entering and exiting out of that area, or in a certain portion of area how many people are there, what distance they are standing at, what was the wait time, what was the total time a person spent in a certain area, and so on and so forth. Now, we talked about how computer vision helps you give tags and describe the image. However, there might be a scenario wherein you will have a custom use case and you would want to define your own tags or your own objects and classify images basis your needs. This is where custom vision comes into picture. Custom vision further can be classified one into image classification, the other into object detection. Image classification meaning that each image will have just one tag that will be associated with it. If you have four classes of images A, B, C, and D, each image will be classified either as A or B or C or D. And you can bring in your own images starting with a very small number of images and train custom models that fit your use case the best. Likewise, within object detection, the difference with image classification being that in object detection, each image can have multiple objects that you define. In a stationary scenario, maybe you want to define a paper, pen, pencil, or you might be in a manufacturing scenario where you have different kinds of wires and manufacturing equipment that you build. And you want to create an object detection model for that. You could even do that on Azure in a purely no-code way or a code-first way basis whatever you prefer. And you can host these models on the cloud, or you can create a compact model and host them on the edge closer to where your data resides. Now, having discussed briefly into what these two services do, let's quickly, first dive into how these services are priced. To get the official pricing, I'll go to the computer vision pricing page. And once I scroll down, this gives you the option to one, choose the region where you want to deploy the service. Let's say I want to deploy this in central India. And it also gives you a multiple of options in terms of what currency you want to view this pricing in. Let's say we want to view this pricing as USD. Now, whenever you spin up a computer vision resource, you can either spin up a free instance or you can spin up a standard instance. A free instance is generally spinned up, when you are just testing out the service or are in the development phase and want to play around with how the service will work for you and whether or not it is the best fit for you. In terms of the free instance, there is a cap on the number of transactions that you can make, and this is 5,000 transactions per month. Now on this page, you see this word transactions written here. What exactly does transactions mean? So, we were discussing multiple features when we discussed about computer vision in terms of when you are analyzing the image, how you can get the tags for it, the description for it, whether or not there are any landmarks or celebrities or objects in the image. Now, all of these multiple features can be extracted in one API call. However, each of these multiple features that you write will be counted as different transactions. For example, if in the same image I want to analyze whether or not there are any celebrities and landmarks, and I specify celebrity and landmark as my analysis parameters, this will be counted as two transactions. And that is how transactions come into picture. When we are taking a use case to fill in the parameters for the Azure pricing calculator, we'll see how this comes into picture. So apart from this, when you are talking about different features, you have different costs associated with them. Let's say you want to analyze whether or not there are any faces in the image, or what are the tags and what is the image type, or get the area of interest or thumbnail. You are charged $1 for every 1,000 transactions till you hit 1 million transactions per month. In case you cross 1 million transactions, above that, every 1,000 transactions are charged at just 65 cents, and you're saving 35 cents once you cross the threshold. Likewise, for the other subcategories, you have, even for when you are getting the features such as whether or not there is any adult content in the image, or whether or not there are any celebrities or landmarks, you're charged $1 for every 1,000 transactions, and so on and so forth. Similarly, when we're talking about getting the description or reading the text out of images that have a large amount of text in them, the pricing would be $1.50 for the first 1 million transactions. And above that, it would just be 60 cents per 1,000 transactions. For now, the spatial analysis feature is free. Coming to the commitment tiers. Now, we talked about pricing, and this was more or less a pay-as-you-go pricing. However, let's say when you are creating an estimate of how many transactions you will be making, you have a fair amount of idea that maybe you will be crossing 50,000 transactions per month. So instead of paying $1 for each of the 1,000 transactions that you're making and effectively paying $500 basis the costing above, you can commit to a certain tier and the costing is reduced for you. This is like a prepaid, subscription that you take, that you will be making 500,000 calls, because of which you save about $125, for those transactions. Likewise, we have different commitment tiers, and basis how you estimate the number of images and transactions that you will be making, you can take a call whether or not a commitment tier will be a good fit for you. And likewise, when I jump into custom vision, I'll be on the custom vision pricing page. I'll choose the region as Central India, and I'll take the currency as USD. And similar to the computer vision phase, even this one has two instances that we can spin up. One being a free instance, the other being a standard instance. And just one difference here that will come into the pricing for computer vision and custom vision. When you are using computer vision, these are all pre-trained models that are available for you at your disposal out of the box. You're not going ahead and training any images or bringing your own images. Hence, you just have the cost for the transactions that you are making and the predictions that you are making. However, when you are talking about a custom vision service, prior to making the predictions, you will have to bring in your own images, your own data, train upon those images, and then you'll be making predictions on the final model that you have built. Hence, this cost involves the training cost as well as the prediction cost. Now, talking about what all is available in the free tier, there are some limitations in terms of the number of projects that you can create or the maximum, training hours that are available to you per month. And likewise, in terms of how many images you can bring and how many predictions you can make per month. This is again, used when you are just experimenting out with the service, experimenting out how well the accuracy is for your case or how well the tool works, and are still in the development phase. Once you are in the production phase, you will jump on to the standard instance. And when I'm talking about the costing of the standard instance, let me, talk this from bottom to up. Whenever you want to train a model, you'll of course be bringing in some data, and data in a custom vision scenario will be images. So for these images that you are bringing in, you will be paying for the storage charge, and this will be at 70 cents for every 1,000 training images that you're bringing in. Likewise, once we bring in the images, now we'll be training our model. We could make multiple iterations. We could have one iteration with, let's say, 1,000 images, and then we further want to improve the accuracy, and we bring in 1,000 more images and again train the model for iteration 2, so on and so forth. So this is priced at about $10 per compute hour, meaning how many hours you are training the model, $10 per hour. And then once you have the model in place, when you are predicting on new images, which could either be a real-time scenario or a batch scenario, you'll be paying $2 for every 10,000 transactions or predictions. Now, this was about the theoretical pricing that we saw. Now, let's take an example and see in reality how you can use the Azure pricing calculator to bring all of this to life and arrive at an estimated cost. So let me start off with computer vision and let me take a use case of let's say a startup or a company that offers people, image analysis and provides them with tags and descriptions for images that they want to upload to social media. So instead of yourself thinking of, unique tags that will get you higher reach, this app helps you get those tags and celebrities and landmarks in your images, which you can automatically use on any picture that you upload on social media. So to arrive at what the estimated cost for this startup will be to you leverage computer vision, they do some analysis. And they analyze that, the average number of users per month that they'll have is 5,000. And the average number of images that each of these users will be uploading, let's say that's 10. In a sense, the total images that will be analyzed comes out to 50,000. Now we saw different transactions, in terms of S1, S2, and S3 buckets. So let's say from the S1 bucket, we just want to analyze the tags. So given we have 50,000 images, this comes out to be 50,000 transactions. For the S2 bucket, let's say we want three things. We want to analyze whether or not there is a celebrity in the picture. If yes, who is the celebrity? What are the landmarks in the images? And whether or not there is any brand in the image. Let's say there's a Microsoft logo or an Apple logo in the image. We also want to analyze that. So given now we are analyzing three features, celebrity, landmarks, and brand, the number of transactions come out to be 150,000, which is, the number of images into three, given there are three features. And let's say as part of the S3 bucket, we just want to describe how the image looks. So that again comes out to be, another 50,000 transactions, coming out to a total of 250,000 transactions. Now let me jump to the Azure pricing calculator. Azure.microsoft.com and the pricing calculator here is a tool that helps you get a rough estimate of, what will be your monthly billing and whether or not you can use some reserved instances, commitment tiers to save costs or not. So to get started, let me search for the product. This is a cognitive service. So I'll click on Azure Cognitive Services and add this here. Let me change the name for this cognitive service. Let me call this computer vision. Now to begin with, given we are analyzing the cost for computer vision, I'll choose computer vision here. Let me choose the region as Central India. Now coming to the payment options. First, let's start off with pay as you go. Within this, we discussed two tiers, the free tier and the standard tier. And on the pricing calculator also, you can see that the free tier will, put a cap at 5,000 transactions per month. However, your monthly bill will be zero. In case you feel you'll go above the 5,000 transactions, we start off with the standard tier. And within this, let's add the numbers, that we calculated basis our assumption. So I'll add 50,000 transactions for, the tags that we are getting. I'll add 150,000 transactions for, the celebrity landmarks that we are getting. And we also assume that we'll be taking the brand that, if at all there are any brands in the image. Why am I adding 50 or 150 here? Because I need to add this in batch of 1,000 transactions. And for this one, for, the description, let me again add another 50. So for each of these, you can see the corresponding cost, and effectively your monthly cost comes out to be $275. Now let's say the company grows very fast. And instead of, maybe 5,000 users, the company has 10,000 users now. And instead of 10 images, each of them is analyzing 20 images a day. Now this will tremendously increase, the total number of images that I need and the total number of transactions that I'll be making. So now basis this, with having 10,000 users and a user on average using 20 images, let's again, go back to the calculator and change the calculations. So this changes to 200, this changes to 600, this changes again. Now, if I see here, my cost is coming out to be $1,100. So basis this, as and when you analyze the images, as and when you get a rough estimate of how many calls you'll be making, you can very easily input those parameters here and get a rough estimate. Now, having talked about the pay-as-you-go pricing, let's consider the commitment tiers. For now, for Azure Computer Vision Services, the commitment tier feature is just available for the read analysis. So for this, let's say, basis your estimation, in a similar fashion that we did, you analyze that you will have, let's say, 600,000 transactions. Now, this is a lot. So Azure offers you different commitment buckets, or commitment tiers as we call it, starting off with 500,000 transactions, or 2 million transactions and 8 million transactions. So in our use case, let's say the transactions come out to be 600,000. We can start off with using a commitment tier, and these help us in saving costs, starting off with a 25% to 50% cost savings, and literally till 60% plus and beyond cost savings. So I'll choose the commitment tier for 500,000 transactions. However, like we discussed, our transaction estimate is $600,000. So for the additional $100,000, I can pay for the overage consumption. However, even this will be, priced at lesser than the traditional pay-as-you-go pricing. And if we see this, the cost comes out to be $450. Instead of this, let's say I would have gone with the pay-as-you-go option for these many number of transactions. I'll choose the standard tier. And to get a true estimate, let's keep the S1 and S2 buckets as 0 and add 600,000 here for the S3 bucket for read and recognize text, describe and recognize text, sorry. So within this, you see that the cost comes out to be $900. So just by committing to a certain usage, we saved 50% of the cost straight away. Now this was about computer vision. Coming to custom vision, let's first go back to our case study and see what do we want to do for custom vision. Now let's say when we are training the model, we want to bring in 10,000 images for the month. And like we discussed, you'll be training multiple times. In a production scenario, the first model is never the perfect model. So let's say on an average, our training, iteration time is 5 hours. And we're training a total of 10 times, let's say in the beginning at least. This will of course reduce going forward once you have a set model that is performing well. But let's say to begin with, for the first month, you want to perform 10 iterations. This brings the total training hours to 50. Now coming to the prediction portion, once we have trained our model, let's say the average number of predictions that we make per day on our model is 1,000. We have 30 days in a month. Hence the total predictions is 30,000. So taking a total of, the total calls that you might be making, because this is a parameter that we will have to add into the pricing calculator. So this will come out to be, the total image uploads that you have, which is 10,000 for our case, the total predictions that you will make, 30,000 in our case, and taking a 5,000 of buffer for, the monitoring and management of the model. So let me go back to the Azure pricing calculator. We added computer vision. Now let's go ahead and add another cognitive service, and I'll name this custom. Let me choose custom vision here. For the region, I'll choose India. And let's say you would have gone for a free tier, you get the limitations that you have in terms of the number of projects, number of training hours, training images, and the predictions per month. However, let's say you want to go over and beyond this in a production scenario. I'll select the standard instance, and basis our analysis, I'll add the number, the estimated number that we have. So for the upload and prediction transactions, we had 45,000 predictions that we made. So I'll add 45,000 here. The training number of hours, our assumption is 40. And for the image, let's say we take 1,000 images, 10,000 images. So for this, our total comes out to be $497. And basis this, if you feel your transactions will go above or below this, or you want to train with the larger set of images, or you have a smaller model and hence you might not need 10,000 images, and you can just make do with 1,000 images for a decent accuracy. This is how you can put in different numbers and play around and get a rough estimate of what your total will be. And let's say in the same use case, you will have both computer and custom vision. You also get the total cost that you will incur per month basis these assumptions. So that's how you can take a rough estimate uh, of what all transactions you will need, and hence the total number of transactions, images, training hours, and create an estimate in the Azure pricing calculator for your monthly bill for Azure Computer Vision and Azure Custom Vision services. Thank you.
Hey Anuprit, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your knowledge. This was really an insightful session, and I'm sure this will help our viewers when it is time for them to create the most optimized consumption plan for Azure Cognitive Service, which is computer vision and custom vision. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jaindra. It was great being here and sharing my knowledge. Thank you.
And that's about it for this episode, folks. Signing off, this is Jayendra Khatod. Until next time, keep learning.